Beast Wars Neo. Beast Wars you.
Beast Wars you.
We had War for Cybertron me, and
Yeah,
now we'll have Beast Wars you.
that's right. Oh yeah, that's weird. Yeah.
Yeah. In Soviet laser comb, Beast Wars
Beast
is you.
Wars is you.
Too much energy.
Too much energon, like this podcast.
Cheetor, what in the ever-loving fuck have you done?
If I wanted to fly, I would have become a bat, not a rat.
It seems my head is purple fire now.
Intelligent conversation.
The louder you yell, the more damage your bullets do.
Ah!
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
Well,
It's gonna blow.
I've decided that I want to live.
No. Not that. Ah!
welcome back, Maxipals, to episode 146 of Too Much Energon, the podcast where we talk about Beast Wars shit and talk shit about Beast Wars. Coming to you live, as always, from a mysterious floating island somewhere hidden on planet Energon. I am, as always, one of your hosts, War for Cybertron, Siege.
That's that's what Siege, and I don't know why I started talking like that. Yeah, and I'm your other host, Super Lifeform Transformers, Beast Wars Neo.
I think I actually fumbled it. I meant to say floating mountain, and I think I said floating island.
I said it wrong for so long that it seemed like I was saying it wrong on purpose. Floating island, floating mountain. What's the difference?
Well, in the show, they actually use different descriptors.
I know
floating,
they do.
It's
Yeah.
floating mountain and flying island.
Floating mountain, flying island. Yeah.
Yeah, we're either on a mysterious flying mountain or a mysterious floating island.
That's right.
That's
That's
how
how
it is.
special we are.
Yeah, that's how super special life form Transformers, Beast Wars, Neo we are.
That's right. Say the whole thing or not at all. Well, when we're not discussing the intricacies of sky trains and how you should pronounce the full title, we're a full title of every single TV show. We're talking about Beast Wars Second and what those wacky characters get up to.
Yeah, this week on Too Much Energon, we are talking about episodes. Which episodes?
We just watched them, you see.
Episode 34, Knockout Nemesis. Episode 35, Lio Junior's Revolt.
Ooh,
Episode 36, Emissary of the Fourth Planet. And episode 37, in a row, The Crisis of Planet Gaia. Now those two episodes, which I found interesting, are essentially a two-parter.
Yeah, I've got some good things to say. Gotta say.
Yeah, a complaint that we've had about this this show since we first started reviewing it was that either nothing happens or the same thing happens over and over again.
Yes, and boy howdy.
Well, something actually happens in these episodes coming up. So
Different things.
different things. The show has been on on somewhat of an upward trajectory for the past few episodes of the podcast.
I've noticed that.
Which actually gives me a little bit of faith that Beast Wars Neo, when we get to that eventually, is probably going to be a better show from start to finish. I've heard it is better all around.
Yeah, it gives me faith. Nothing
It's
can beat the taco tank, though.
not.
I mean,
except-
literally everything can beat the taco tank, but
What is do we know? I meant to look this up before we started recording. Exactly what it is that that Magnaboss says when he forms. He always gives a speech. He's like, wisdom, courage, justice, the combined forces of the epic being Magnaboss.
right.
something.
We've never. I don't recall. We review this show, but I've never written it down or memorized it.
Let's I wonder if the TF wiki will actually say. People are messaging me on, or not messaging me. People are, if you're hearing that, undoubtedly, people are saying things on the Discord, the Lasercomb Discord, which you should go and join. There's a link in the description of
Which you
this
should.
episode.
Do it.
That's where all the fun stuff happens.
It's true. There's
It's-
lots of member berries there.
Lots. Let's see. The Magnaboss page. Well, I don't see anything quickly, and I'm not going to spend too much time looking for it. But well, on the next episode, maybe I'll quote it as like the cold open to the episode or something.
Yeah, next time.
Next time. So, episode 34, Knockout Nemesis. There's utter calamity going on the planet.
Calamity.
Yeah, like stuff's happening. The Artificial Planet Nemesis, which I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I find it funny that in dialogue, every time they mention it, they always call it the Artificial Planet Nemesis.
You have to say the full title. You can't just call it Nemesis. You have to say the Artificial Planet Nemesis.
So the Artificial Planet Nemesis is continuing its trek on toward planet Gaia.
And it's gobbled up one gas giant, which may or may not have been Saturn. And if I recall, it's gobbling up Jupiter this episode.
And coming up, it's pulling a Quaid and getting its ass to Mars.
That's right. Yeah, it's getting its ass to Mars. Yeah.
I actually just rewatched Total Recall like last week.
Without me? You monster.
I don't know, I'd had a few drinks and I was wondering if it was available on something, and it was available on like the CTV like app if you have cable, which I do.
The fuck? Okay. Huh. So you got your ass to Mars.
So I got my ass to Mars. That movie is still quite fun.
I'd imagine I would probably like and understand it more as an adult than the last time I watched it, which I think I was a teenager.
I remember the first time I saw it, I would have been about 5 years old, and
Oh goddamn.
yeah, it was my mom and her friends had rented it and were watching it in the living room, and I was just sitting there. I distinctly have a memory of like sitting on the floor in the living room watching Total
And that's
Recall.
when you had a 3 boob fetish from that point on. No, sorry, go ahead.
Interesting thing about that actress is she had a noteworthy guest role on Star Trek: The Next Generation. She ended up retiring from acting, and she actually runs like a non-profit who gives like food and blankets to homeless people in LA.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, when I saw her on an episode of Next Generation a while back, I decided to read up about her. And I was like, oh, it's the 3-boob chick from Total Recall. And yeah, she has like a degree in something, and yeah, she runs this like charity that like helps out people in need.
I think that's cool.
Yeah.
That's rad. Good for her.
Yeah. So
Not stuck doing 3 boob alien porn the rest of her years.
that's right.
God damn it.
You know, in the remake for Total Recall, which I've dunked on many times, but there is a 3-boobed chick in that movie, but that movie doesn't have mutants and they're not on Mars, so it makes absolutely no sense beyond just being an homage to the original film.
So it's just like a cyberpunk choice? Wait, if there's no mutants and they're not on Mars, then
Yeah, it's so out of left field in that movie.
huh.
Yeah.
Not sure how I feel about that. I've never watched the I remember being like, ooh, and then seeing the trailer and being like, eh. And then
Yes,
I never
from-
thought about it again.
From the director of Underworld and Live Free
Oh,
or
well,
Die Hard.
that explains a lot.
I've talked about him before, but he's like just the movies he makes are like the most like sterile, like lifeless things. And
Yep.
actually, I don't even think he's made a movie since the Total Recall remake kind of crashed and burned. Yeah. Womp womp. Anyway, so knockout Nemesis, calamity's going on. The artificial planet Nemesis is barreling toward Gaia. And who was it? Someone comes up with the idea. I think it was Drill Nuts comes up with the idea to make a big old cannon over in Niagara Falls to fire at the artificial planet Nemesis.
Just a big old cannon.
A big old angle slam cannon.
Just fucking shoot it.
Just fucking two gun it.
Just aim up in the sky and just start yelling and shooting.
And this episode is kind of like, I don't know, the most forgettable out of the bunch, except for one amazing shot involving Thrustor, where he becomes fully aroused, which it's the artwork for this episode of the podcast. So
that was he becomes excited at the prospect of shooting two guns up in the air and yelling.
Yeah. Yeehaw. Yeah, the crux of this episode is, big old Drill Nuts makes a big old cannon at Niagara Falls, which I'm calling it Niagara Falls as a joke, but they actually have a thing called Niagara Base, and it's behind a waterfall.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it is Niagara Falls.
So it is Niagara Falls, just a lot smaller. So Drill Nuts makes this big old cannon, and
if this is millions of years in the future, that makes sense because the falls are receding a little bit each year from erosion.
Oh. Well, I guess that does make sense. And we actually, this episode all but confirms that this is Earth in the far off future. Or not this episode,
yeah,
but these
before they're kind of like, oh, planet Gaia, oh, who knows? Well, unless you look at the planets as artificial planet Nemesis comes in, you're like, oh, there's Uranus, there's Neptune, there's Uranus, there's Saturn. It confirms it. Yeah,
we get a little exposition in the a couple episodes after this from a computer that just straight up confirms that this is Earth, like in the far off future, in what is just straight up an exposition dump. But it's probably the most interesting exposition dump in the entirety of this series so far. At least it was to me.
Agreed. Actually,
I was like, wait, am I watching the same show?
Yeah, this is when I was like, what the fuck? I expected to be spoon-fed this over 20 episodes. So it is actually kind of really welcome.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I was like, oh, thank you. But yeah, what's the exposition that we get?
We'll get
the
to
gist
that.
of it is we'll get to it.
We'll get to that when we get to that episode. But the gist of this episode is, so Drill Nuts has made this big cannon. They got to transport it from Niagara Falls.
He's like, you're gonna love my nuts. They got to transport it. Why would you build it on site?
And Lio Junior is like, which nuts? And he's like, D's nuts.
And then his like saw or crane goes.
He starts doing the DX chop. Suck it. And then Lio Junior is like, Lio Convoy, suck it.
Yeah, that's right, Dad. Suck it.
So yeah, they got to get this cannon from Niagara Falls to somewhere else to fire it because reasons.
Because what the fuck were the reasons? Why didn't they just shoot it from the base? Wait, no. Wait, there was a reason.
Was there?
Fuck, or was there? Oh, because it needed to be in the cannon. No, I can't remember. Don't think so. Never mind. With
only 72 minutes to spare, they must bring the Niagara. This is from the TF Wiki. They must bring the Niagara cannon to a mountaintop for optimum angle energy and targeting. Seems legit.
See, is that from the wiki?
It is, yeah. I have come.
That seems like a write-up that you would put underneath the episode.
I have come to rely very heavily on the episode descriptions on the TF wiki to understand what the fuck's going on in this show half the time.
For maximum, what was it? Maximum angle accuracy?
with only 72 minutes to spare, they must bring the Niagara cannon to a mountaintop for optimum angle moy energy and targeting. But Lio
Yeah.
Convoy asks for the responsibility, but Lio Junior asks for the responsibility, but Lio Convoy denies the request, stating it should go to someone with more experience, namely Scuba. Lio Junior moans that people don't trust his abilities. But Lio Convoy has a task for him. And
As
so
usual.
there's a couple decoys. So we find out that the Maximals, including the He-Man himself, are transporting a big cannon on land. The Predacons decide to intercept. That turns out to be a decoy. Scuba is transporting another cannon underneath in the ocean with the taco tank. We find and the Predacons intercept. We find out that's another distraction, and that it's actually Lio Junior who has the real cannon.
Ah, weren't expecting that, were you?
No, and so he fires the cannon with optimal angle slam energy, not only drawing from the planet but also from him. But the energy blast just can't quite make it. It only just gets just barely before the eye of the artificial planet Nemesis. And I'm like, I don't think this is how an energy blast works. I don't think it just like holds position, like slowly inching its way forward. But
Is that what happened? I thought it stopped it.
That's that.
Or am I dumb?
That was my impression of what happened. Lio Junior fires the cannon, but the angle moy energy proves too much for the cannon, and it explodes before the beam can make it to Nemesis. As it turns out, Drill Nuts miscalculated the Niagara cannon's parameters. Fucking Drill Nuts, man.
He miscalculated the parameters, and it didn't miss. It falls short.
It falls short, yeah.
Now, I know the physics has been updated since our friend Newton created his laws of motion. But if you recall, join me on this journey, if you will. If you recall, I believe one of the laws of motion was an object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an outside force.
Yes.
This is how we're able to measure X-rays and gravitational waves and visible light and every other type of ray and wave from billions of light years away.
Yeah.
If angle slam energy is so strong, how come this bitch can't even reach Mars?
It can't get its ass to Mars.
It full circle. It can't get its ass to Mars.
And
Lio Convoy Jr. said, "Get your ass to Mars," and angle slam energy beam was like, "No."
I'm not Hauser. I'm Quaid.
I'm Quaid. You are not you. You are me. And now I'm going to do something really gross that you're going to hate.
Now, whatever your name is.
And he just eats raw broccoli.
Get ready for the big surprise.
Get ready for the big surprise.
That
You are not you. You are me.
I'm howdy, stranger. This is Hauser. That part in the movie where he stuck the thing up his nose like grossed me out so much when I was a little kid.
Well, yeah, that was the part of the story that you're gonna say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that freaked me out. And I like imagine I was like, well, wait, there's cartilage there and there's still bone. And that thing was so big that even if one, it would rip your skin there. But like, and I've got a big ass like fucking nose too. So like maybe I could pull it out of my nose going, yeah. But in the very least, it would like fuck you up. And you're like, anybody that's been in martial arts or just normal fights or is at an accident, you hit your nose, you immediately start crying. I don't make the rules. It's like an olfactory like reaction.
Remember the early days of the pandemic when you had to like actually drive up to a place to get a nose swab, and like sometimes like the nurse would just shove it in too far?
No, I never had to do that because I was like I isolated the fuck out of myself. Thank God. Did you have to?
A few times, yeah.
Even the self-administered ones at home. I'm sorry, I'm a pansy. I can't. I suck.
Those
I can't do it, man.
I'm so used to doing those ones that like I can do them no problem now.
Like I'm tearing up, and I'm sneezing like
Yeah.
100 times. Like I can't do those. But yes, I recall people having to go and into the drive-through swab, and oh man, ooh, I don't know how you folks would be able to do that.
Scary times those were.
Indeed, indeed.
But speaking of scary times, yeah, the thing in Total Recall. When I rewatched the movie the other night, I'm like, oh, that is clearly just an animatronic Arnold head.
A pretty good,
It's a good one, but
pretty good animatronic Arnold head, I must say.
yeah.
What was
So
the
anyway,
robot cab? Johnny Cab?
Johnny
Thanks
Cab,
for
yeah,
taking Johnny Cab, or like whatever. Man, we're there. We did it. I mean, not where we are, because Canada is 10, 15 years behind the United
everything
States,
else, yeah.
or the rest of the world in general. But like, they're there in the States and everyone loves them, right?
Yeah, folks, we didn't even get Beast Wars until like 2011.
That's right.
And we're like, wow, what cutting edge CGI.
What cutting edge CGI in 2011?
Yeah, no. Anyone who's listened to this podcast knows that I'm joking about that.
We had something else. We had a 2D version of Babar called Beasties.
Of Babar, Jesus. I mean, that would make Babar an actually interesting show.
Well, at least the title or something, right?
So that was episode 34, Knockout Nemesis. Here on Too Much Energon, we rate episodes.
An object at rest stays in rest unless acted upon by an outside force.
Is that your rating on the Too Much Energon scale?
I don't even know what that would. Okay, so let's say it's like radio waves and the angle slam energy diminishes. This is supposed to be the most potent energy that the Destructons, the bad guys, the Decepticons find.
The Autoballers.
The yes, the Autoballers have found. What would the band name be? It would be Big G and the Autoballers. There, right? Yeah, there we go.
Big G and the
Big
Autoballers.
Gaviscon and the Gaviscon
Cruising down the street in their 6'4".
cruising down the street in their 6'4". Just slamming a angle slam. And anyways, if this is very potent, very evil energy, and it wasn't that they shot it at something that was evil and it stopped it, like in Fifth Element, good movie. It wasn't strong enough. That would make the angle slam energy weaker than radio waves. The Voyager probes are still working.
That's true.
I'm just saying, but this like fucking can and can't. What I'm saying is angle slam energy, kind of a bitch.
Angle slam ain't shit.
Angle slam ain't shit. So fuck, what do I rate it? There's some story moving, so it gets a low sufficient amount of energon for me.
I agree with that completely. It probably would have got a regular or a high sufficient amount of energon, just because it's all around a perfectly fine episode, but the science is so dumb.
And there's some, and I understand it's sentient transformers that change into animals, like you need to like stretch your imagination or whatever, but like make it, kids are smart. Like child me watching this, who was super into black holes, super into astronomy, I knew Newton's laws of motion, and that shit would bug child me possibly more than adult me. And well, there's that episode.
Well, there's that. Episode 35, Lio Junior's Revolt.
This is where, okay, here we
Lio
go.
Junior's Revolt, followed by an interrobang.
Oh, it is. Wait, what?
Yes. So, folks, I discovered a little while ago that an exclamation mark and a question mark together, whatever variation of it is, the name of that punctuation is called an interrobang.
And it's always the exclamation mark first, right?
It should be, yes.
That's something I learned every like 10 years and then forget. Like I think I learned that in my like creative writing class or something.
Yeah. I pretty sure I heard that in university and then forgot about it and then was reminded of it not too long ago.
Yeah. Followed by an interrobang. Another thing is 3 periods in a row is an ellipses.
It's an ellipsis.
Sorry, an ellipsis. An ellipses is something
the-
else entirely.
Well, an ellipses is the plural of that.
Ellipses are plural ellipsis.
Yeah.
That's right. And 4 periods? Get the hell out of here. I kill you. What
It
the hell
drives
is 4?
me insane because an ellipsis is very, very firmly 3 periods. If
Yeah,
there-
not
when
2, not 4.
not 5, not
Not
12.
Yeah. And you know what? Not
you're-
even 6. That's not 2 ellipsis.
If
You're
you're
not, that's illegal.
if you're putting like 12 periods, I'm sorry, but I'm going to think you're an idiot. Actually, no, I'm not sorry.
I'm not sorry anymore.
I'm not sorry at all. Folks, me and Cal both studied writing in university, so this is
It's just the bare minimum. Like it's not like I'm an auteur or I'm not even a snob. Like if you just use all lowercase or like whatever, but it's just when you do egregious things like putting in like 7 periods, right?
Yeah.
It just ain't nobody got time for that. Like, come on. And it's a small thing, but especially with autocomplete, where you can just press the your that you put in wrong and just go, oh, there we go. I meant the apostrophe re, not uoyour. Not you're angry, but you are angry. It's so easy now. It's just like, you know what? If you can't do it, in fact, I'm gonna play Siege's hand here. I think he stopped talking to somebody because they used on a dating app because they used the wrong like your or their at one point.
Many times.
Multiple times.
I'm at a point now, if I just see in someone's profile that they're, like in their like mid to late 30s and they still type like they did when they were in high school back in like 2001, I'm like, no, I'm swiping left. I'm not even going to bother.
Oh, if someone's talking to me and you use like you instead of you and r, the letter r instead of are, you got to go, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we're in our 30s.
Yeah, we're grown-ups here. Type like an adult, goddammit.
Right.
That's anyway, little rant over.
Little rant over. No, there we go.
Rant over.
That one's barely meets a sufficient amount of energon.
I'm gonna crack a single beer for the remaining episodes.
Right, and pour one out for the homies.
Yep. This is a beer I've never had before. It is from Wolf Brewing Company, which is a local brewery in Nanaimo, BC. It is called Black and Tan. It is 5.5%. Let's give it a little bit of a sample because this is now becoming
On air? Yeah.
a beer review podcast.
That's right.
Very, very, very malty.
Oh.
It's got a bit of a smoky flavor to it as well.
So that sounds good then.
It is quite good. It's actually this is another local beer, but Cal will know this. Dark Matter from Hoyne Brewery? This tastes a lot like that.
I like Dark Matter. Actually.
Yeah, Dark Matter I find is a beer that a lot of people who don't normally like beer still tend to like.
Yeah, like me.
Yeah, very
The filthy casual. I am
very
like that one.
malty, very smoky flavored. It's good.
I'm so good. It's good. I'm the filthy casual type that enjoys like summer ales. Those like lighter.
Oh, like IPAs and like Hefeweizen.
No, I like amber ales, like lighter summer beers.
I think of an amber ale more as like a fall type beer.
Oh, okay.
Amber ale is actually my favorite kind of craft beer.
Mine too. I hate IPAs, or
Yeah, so
maybe I
do
just
I.
haven't tasted one that's good.
I've never. Here's the thing: is IPAs are very hoppy, which I don't like hoppy beer. I like beer that is very malty in flavor.
Fuck, the first time I had an IPA, I sacrilege. I know I did not finish it. Couldn't do it, man. Couldn't do it. I know. That's legal.
A light summer beer that I can handle is I can handle Hefeweizens, which do tend to be on the hoppier side still, but I'll take a Hefeweizen over an IPA any day.
Mm-hmm.
Pilsners are like really hit or miss with me. It seems to depend on the brewery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there you go. Now you know more about our tastes.
Yeah, if you want to Google my favorite beer, it is from Lighthouse Brewing. It is called Race Rocks Amber Ale.
Oh, that's I like that one.
They have it on tap at a certain pub that I've spoken fondly of at many times in Victoria, BC.
That's right. Yeah.
A place I used to frequent so much that whenever I would go in there, eventually the one waitress who, shout out to her, she was great.
Yeah.
She would always, whenever I would walk in, she'd be like, "Hey, Race Rocks," and I'd be like, "You know it."
Yeah. Well, yeah. Last time I was there, because I had introduced two people who had never gone to there before, and they're like, "Oh, pub food. Let's go to a restaurant." I'm like, "No, hear me out." And they thought I had just chosen that as a meeting place for
Logistic purposes.
because it's closest to me.
Yeah.
But then they went and they were like, "Hey, wait a second. This place is great."
Yeah, one of Victoria's best kept secrets, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A certain pub that we enjoy. But anyways, that's going to become a regular thing every now and then on Too Much Energon. We're just going to randomly rate something other than the TV show we're talking about.
I mean, we might as well. We're up to almost 150 episodes at this point.
Fair.
Oh yeah, I've been to off air. I'll mention it. What the things that I had in mind. Actually, no, I can mention it on air for the holiday special. We're in the final run of Beast Wars at this point, so there's going to be this coming December is going to be pretty much our last opportunity for a holiday special. So I wanted to do one that was about Beast Wars video games. Finally, there are 3 of them.
I'm sure they're all top notch.
I've played them all. They're
Terrific.
They're something. Actually, no, I haven't played the Transmetals game. I don't know. Anyway, and for the other thing, I was thinking, because it should be out by then, because fuck it, why not? It's a new Transformers movie during the run of this Transformers podcast. Maybe a commentary track for Transformers 1. So I can talk about how shit the movie is for like an hour and 45 minutes.
It's what the people want, damn it. I don't make the rules.
It seems to be. Anyway, Lio Junior's revolt in Terabos. Gaviscon decides to... he sees... he's watching crystal ball footage of Lio Junior.
I was going to bring that up, yeah. As one does.
Of Lio Junior, and he's like, huh... This kid's got something, see?
Yes. He's got a certain je ne sais quoi.
I think he's got potential. Yeah, I'm gonna...
And he's like, I am getting older. and I do have to write my will soon. That actually comes up a lot, the word will. Um,
And I'm starting to.
and he looks
I,
over at
I,
his little brother and he's
I,
like,
I'm hitting the bottle at an hour earlier every day as time goes on.
and then it starts to go back every 24 days. It goes back to midnight. Uh, and he's like, and well, my current heir, and he like looks over at what the fuck is his new name now?
Tripticon. I don't know.
Anyways, he looks over it. Why the fuck can I remember?
Gigastorm? Right, because
Gigastorm.
it used to be Megastorm
Yeah.
/ G2 Megatron.
Yeah, Gigastorm. And
Gigglestorm.
Gigglestorm is like, get in there and fight, you idiots. Geez. And like, Snort blows his note, scratches his ass, and he looks up and he's like, Oni-chan. And he's like, and Gaviscon is like, oh, fuck. Yeah, I'm going to need somebody better. And well, I'm going to have to find a way to Vision Quest. I'm not even kidding. Vision Quest Lio Convoy Junior and see if I can tempt him to the dark side.
So he ends up dunking him in the angle slam energy, which I don't know if that was a vision quest or if that was just an actual thing that happened. But now, because of that, now Lio Junior, Lio Junior has some of the evil angle slam energy coursing through his circuits.
And they end up talking about, and the gist of it is, hey, actually the Destructicons, the baller bots, our actual thing is peace. And Lio Convoy Jr. in the lava / angle slam / vision quest is like, wait, you guys want peace too? And he's like, peace will never be achieved with factions popping up, fighting each other, all that like bullshit. Peace needs to be achieved through power, sheer power, tyranny. One faction rules everything and makes sure every peace stays.
And this viewpoint that Gaviscon has actually comes up again in a later episode,
which
I actually find this interesting.
I know. Like 20 episodes ago, I was like, "There's nothing interesting will ever happen from this." Kind of find that interesting.
Yeah, we're starting to see the evil big bad of the show still being evil and the big bad, but it kind of being depicted more as just ideological differences.
Yeah,
as opposed to, which I think is the most interesting take. When it comes to Transformers, the Autobots versus the Decepticons, Maximals versus Predacons.
Yes, finally we see that, besides just the one side being bad.
Blah, 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 blah. Beast Wars once and for all.
Yeah, pretty much. Not even pretty much, exactly.
Yeah. So I wasn't expecting that, but that's... So welcome change.
Right?
And all the evil angle slam energy charges up Lio Jr., and he finally does the inevitable thing that every teenage boy does.
X gonna give it to you plays in the background.
Beats up his stepdad.
So
or is that just me?
His adopted it runs in my family too. Or their real dads. So he crawls out of the canyon, and his adopted fathers, fucking elephant and eagle. My brain is off today.
Skywarp and Santon.
Santon, yeah. Actually, I think are just the most reasonable characters on the entire fucking show, to the point where some would probably think they're like boring, but it's like not having them incredibly stupid or incredibly juvenile is such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And they're actually, what do they call him? Youngster? Yeah.
Youngster,
they actually care about him, which is so fucking nice. Like they're actually like, hey, like he needs our help.
Yeah.
Which we later find out.
As opposed to Lio Convoy, who like the way he treats Lio
Junior,
Jr.
I don't know, let him fucking figure it out.
It seems to change from episode to episode.
Yeah. sometimes it's like, no, you can't leave. It's too dangerous. You have to stay at base and I don't know, play pogs. And then other times it's like, well, what about Lio Convoy Jr.? And Lio Convoy's like, who? Like, I don't know, let him figure it out.
Fuck, get away from me, kid. You're not
Ugh.
mine.
Ugh.
Your mom's a slut.
Your mom's a fucking lying whore. You don't look anything like me. Oof, that one might cut deep for some listeners. No, just me.
Oh, and me too.
And fuck. And where were we even saying? Oh, he puts on some eyeliner, plays
The Cure.
The Cure, right? Puts on a trench coat, right? And then like goes and storms over, grabs a baseball bat.
The shadows breathe.
Hey, someone's been listening to the Cure. They're one of my favorite bands, listeners.
Yeah, I was singing that with affection. I love that song.
Yeah, so do I. I also like Love Cats.
We're both big fans of The Crow.
Yeah. Call my name. And he waits for it to rain first. And then all wouldn't you have it? Suddenly switches over to X, go and give it to you. Oh, do. Kicks open the door and he's like, "You're not my real dad," and he tackles him. Actually does.
Yeah.
Everyone's like,
"Dude, what are you doing?"
And as he's like beating the shit out of him, like shooting him and shit, everyone else is like, should we do something? And he actually gets a lot of good hits in because Lio Convoy is kind of just like, ooh, huh? It's like kind of like stunned that this is even happening for a moment.
And Skywarp and Santon are like, let's force combine so he can't do anything like on his own. He'll need
I
all
find
of
that
us.
interesting, cool. Yeah, because like there's like hormones and vegetable soup running through the boys' system right now. Puberty's a hard time for everyone. Let's force combine, which we've seen happen the first time they were introduced.
Yeah.
Because he didn't know how, so they like force combined. But this way, they're all able to like the other two are able to
Into our combined form, Magnabus.
And well, when you know it, the evil they're able to control him for a while, but the evil angle slam energy,
Yeah, I think he's actually like for a while like frozen, like holding his sword like over his head, his Magna Blade.
Yeah.
There's
And
is it this episode? It's one of these episodes where we just get a random like voiceover narration like explaining the power of the Magna Blade. And I'm
I
like,
think it's the next one. Yeah.
I'm like, this is
But
kind
why
of out of
now?
nowhere. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, why now?
Yeah, why
We,
now?
we introduced Magnaboss like what, like 10 episodes ago?
Right?
Oh well.
Magna Blade, huh?
They're having a hard time controlling him, and how does this? Lio Convoy decides to purge the evil Angle Slam from his mind using his Matrix energy.
So what happens is they have a vision quest together. I can't. And he's like, "My son, what troubles you?" and all of that. And they have a powwow and like talk about their values.
They have a vision quest, and Lio Convoy is like, Simba.
Simba, you must not be like your uncle.
You are more than what you have become, Simba.
You are more than what meets the eye.
There we go.
And he's like, I can't fight it. And he's like, then let me help you. And yeah, it's kind of like, puts his hands up in the air. And then out loud, he's like, my successor, bring into your evil to me. And then much like John Coffey from The Green Mile, he goes and sucks in all the evil energy, sickness from him, the evil black angle slam. And it's like,
isn't that something Ghost Rider can do too? Or no, he has the penance
the
stare.
penance stare, which depending on if you meet his gaze, he grabs you. All of your like committed sins are like reflected back at you, and depending on how evil you are, it can like leave you comatose.
Mm,
Yeah,
right.
I always
Yeah, I
thought
knew.
that was really fucking cool.
Yeah, Ghost Rider is kind of a neat character. He's I read a review of, I think it was the second movie, where someone said Ghost Rider, a character who has always been a better tattoo than an actual like fleshed out like protagonist of a story.
Ouch, but true.
Yeah.
Ouch, but true.
uh,
Damn it, yeah,
he's
a
out of
cooler
line.
tattoo than he has been a character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's out of line, but he's right.
Son of a bitch is right. Yeah, he's out of line, but he's right. Um, and indeed, he absorbs. He absorbs the black energy, and Magnaboss is like, ugh, and collapses, and they untransform, and Lio Convoy Junior like runs over, and he's like, oh, Dad, are you okay? And he's like, I'm fine. Just let me. And all the little black flies fly out of his like mouth, and all the evil angle slam is like released. But it's actually shot.
Fucking Raven comes out.
Could have way. This is way cooler than what's actually happening here, folks. But it's not far.
As is tradition.
Yeah. Now I was confused. I thought this was just in Lio Convoy Jr.'s mind, but there's a big projection in the sky of Gaviscon. He shoots out of his matrix. He shoots the evil angle slam energy out at the hologram of Gaviscon.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, what?
I guess he's giving the evil energy back to him.
Back to him? And I'm like, but why? But maybe it's like when John Coffey from the Green Mile, he couldn't get rid of the badness himself, so he gave it to that, like, I don't know, that asshole kid on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to release it into someone else. And Gaviscon's like, I hope the day never comes where you regret having chosen the side that you did, Junior.
You could have had the entire galaxy at your fingertips.
We could have. He's kind of mature about it. Like, there's a respect he has for Lio Convoy and Lio Convoy Jr. that in these episodes, especially the one that comes, that I'm liking. And just like Megsy ends up being more interesting than the good guy counterpart.
Yeah, I mean, we're actually starting to see multiple layers to Gaviscon's personality. What does Lio Convoy got? He's just leader man who is sometimes
man.
He's leader man who is sometimes a deadbeat dad.
Leader man, fighter of the bad man. Right?
So what are you going to give that episode on the Too Much Energon scale?
You know what? It's happening. I think it's too much energon for me. I'm actually paying attention to the episode. I don't know where on the too much energon scale, or if I'm now grading on a curve compared to the rest of it. But like, this is it, man. This is what I want to see. So I'm actually giving this like in the low end of too much energon. Like this is the kind of shit I want. Now the angle slam bullshit is like whatever, but like it's the story that's like moving and the development, and we learn a little bit about Lio Convoy Jr. because remember, he was formed from the energy of angle slam, but because he shares energy of the spark from Lio Convoy, it made him good instead of evil. And so I'm actually giving it a TME.
It's still going to be a sufficient amount of energon from me, but th this show is starting to go now. Now that it's almost over, the show's actually starting to go in an interesting direction. I like that we're getting, and this will continue throughout the rest of the episodes that we cover today. We're getting more. We're actually like getting some depth to for Galvatron. See, the show has made me respect him enough to actually call him Galvatron.
Holy, holy shit.
But yeah, it's still just a sufficient amount of energy, a very high sufficient.
Very high, sufficient amount of energon from you. All right, there you go.
Episode 36, Emissary of the Fourth Planet.
Uh-oh. This is another one where it's like we fucking finally learn a bunch of shit.
There is a UFO that is sent from the fourth planet, Mars,
Miles.
to planet Gaia to warn them about the problems with the angle slam energy and the artificial planet Nemesis coming to gobble it all up.
It's coming to eat it. And for whatever reason, isn't it fortunate that all of these planets are lined up?
Yeah, I know.
I know
right?
we've said that before,
In
but
one
like
straight line.
one straight line. And there are periods in throughout history where the planets do line as close as lining up as they can come. It happens every once in a while, and maybe that's when it's coming through the solar system.
Maybe it had to be that time, and that's why Gaviscon didn't just bring the artificial planet
That's
Nemesis with him,
because
like, straight from the
it
get-go.
gains power from gobbling up the gas giants. And Mars, for some reason, like it would do nothing if you just gobbled up Saturn and Jupiter, which it tells you that Moon and Artemis tells you that that's what happened. Mars would be like a 1,000th of 1% of the mass. Like, why even stop at Mars?
Speaking of Artemis, in the next episode, I didn't think I could hate Artemis even more than I already do, but
The one after this or in this one?
the one after this.
Right.
And
yeah.
it may actually have a pretty damning effect on my rating of the episode. An episode which is otherwise quite good. Well, as good as Beast Wars 2nd can possibly be. So this UFO, I'll give this episode credit. I thought that this was just going to be just another toy that shows up, another Transformer that shows up.
Or maybe a variant or like whatever. No, it's a probe. It's like a little UFO dude.
Yeah, it's a little computer, and we find out that
it shoots from the sky like a shooting star. Yeah, and for the first time in the history of Beast Wars, second, maybe all of Beast Wars, Lio Convoy is like, actually, everybody else, you continue working on the ship. Apache and I will go check this out. And I'm like, thank you.
And I think it's in this episode that it's established that the Yukikaze, the Maximal ship, can't fly, which I thought it could. Like, I swear
that's their shuttle. Their main ship can't break orbit.
Oh, I didn't know
their shuttle can fly in the atmosphere, but their main ship can't escape the orbit.
That's right, because the first episode, the Yukikaze crashed, and they all had to like bail out in escape pods, and that's why they were separated at the beginning and had to take on beast modes.
Exactly.
And like the first handful of episodes, it was like them meeting up with like another teammate.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So they're trying to fix the Yukikaze, I believe, but they even say like they're like, oh, this thing this thing won't fly. So we don't really have a way of leaving if planet Gaia is destroyed by the artificial planet Nemesis.
Mm-hmm.
So Navi, their little computer bot, AI chatbot thingy.
Yeah.
Who they refer to as Navi-chan at one point, and I'm like, it's a computer, guys. We don't need to call it Navi-chan.
It's Navi-chan because she's got a cute little voice.
I actually, in this episode in particular, because I think this is probably the episode that has the most dialogue of her, that little like computer like digitized like sound that plays like every time she talks
Yeah,
was getting annoying.
it plays a lot.
It plays a lot.
I'll give it that. I really like this episode, but it plays a lot.
Yeah. And it's not even like it's a vocal like filter or anything like that. It's literally just like a canned like sound effect, digital sound effect that plays in the background every time she's speaking. And it was just she talks a lot in this episode, so it was starting to really get on my nerves.
She does, yeah.
But Navi-chan figures out that this alien probe speaks a language that's not too dissimilar to like her like computer code.
There's I like that. They go into computer a little bit. They're like, hey, it's difficult, but I might be able to translate this computer language so that we can find out what they're saying. And I'm like, go on, Queen. And they take it back to base, which I find interesting. I'm like, you guys bring in an alien, like little pro alien thing. It's just a little guy, by the way. But you're bringing it back.
There's literally one shot that I find hilarious, and apparently the TF Wiki does too, because it's screenshotted on there. But with Lio Convoy walking, wearing this probe as a hat.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was cute.
Yeah, on the TF Wiki it says the Jungle Emperor's new hat.
Jungle Emperor's new hat. That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah. So they Navi-chan talks to this like little alien probe, and it's like, oh, the way to like stabilize the angle slam energy is they have to go find this computer in like the northern hemisphere or something like that. And so the Maximals are like, all right, let's go. And like you mentioned, for like the first time ever, Lio Convoy is like, no, you guys stay here, keep working on this. Me and Apache, the two like the smartest and like most experienced,
stable, level-headed, yeah.
We're gonna go deal with this.
And I'm like, it only took us 30 something episodes, but god damn it, thank you. But there was no reason because they just go get it and come back. But like theoretically, based on everything we've seen from the show, it's like, thank fucking god. If you had said a frog and Tasmanian Kid and He-Man again, I would have fucking rioted. the three most dysfunctional, stupid characters in the entire show, who always get sent on missions together.
Well, and indeed, they end up being the ones who end up having to show up to try and save Lio Convoy and Apache, because this doesn't exactly go the way they would hoped it would.
No.
No, because they assume that this alien probe is there to like help them and like stop the planet from being destroyed.
There's a spat between, because Navi ends up being able to talk to it. And it's like, hey guys, this guy wants to go to a supercomputer. It has to do with angle slam. He knows all about it, or the computer does. He's just supposed to initiate something.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh shit, ancient Gaian tech. Let's go check it out.
And so they go to this like pyramid, and the probe interfaces with this big like ancient supercomputer type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we get an exposition dump. This is what I was talking about earlier, where I'm like, this is the most interesting thing that's happened on the entire show to me. We find out that indeed they don't say it by name, but indeed Gaia is Earth in the distant future.
And they call them the ancient Gaians.
The ancient Gaians, so presumably humanity. Human civilization reached its pinnacle by harnessing the Anglemoy energy. But over time, they started to realize that it had a dark side, and people were abusing it for nefarious purposes.
And not only that, more morality aside or included or whatever, if it's used for evil, it spreads that evil in the population,
Yeah,
and it literally makes like people evil. So to save themselves,
which is an interesting conceit.
yeah, and it's just like, well, just don't use it for evil. Yeah, just like how people don't use money for evil on Earth.
Well, like they say, power corrupts, right?
Yeah, and somehow the entire population of Earth agrees upon, hey, let's leave this planet
Yes, we're
before we
gonna.
all kill each other or die.
Yeah, we're
One,
gonna.
no way that would ever fucking happen. Like this is an ascended and enlightened future human race.
Yeah,
And they're like, we got to go.
yeah, we're gonna. We don't like this. Is like making our society like tear itself apart. So we need to abandon it, and we're gonna get our asses to Mars.
Yeah, you're tearing me apart, Gaia. And they need to get their ass to Mars.
And so that's what they do. And they introduce this fail-safe where if the evil angle slam energy ended up being used like on a massive scale again, which is what's happening because of Galvatron and the artificial planet
Who's
Nemesis.
making all these machines to specifically evil? It's like the goo from Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, the slime.
Dick. That's Angle Slam. We did it, folks. We connected Beast Wars and Ghostbusters again. It being evil makes people evil, makes volcanoes explode. We've seen all this happening. So
I, Galvatron, the scourge of Carpathia.
yeah.
You know, Vigo in that movie was voiced by Max von Sydow.
Who is that?
He's dead now, but he's a legendary. I think he was Swedish.
Right.
He's just got one of those voices that you know it when you hear it.
Yeah, that you know it when you hear it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is gonna be funny, but like the first thing that I really took notice of him in was when I was a teenager when Minority Report, Steven Spielberg film, and Tom Cruise. Great movie. It's still really good. It holds up quite well. I went back to it a few years ago. But he plays Tom Cruise's boss in that movie, and I think that was the first time I actually like put like the name to the voice to the face, like all together.
Right.
Anyway, so this mother computer is what it's referred to as, is awakened by this probe, and yeah, so the probe like gives the exposition dump about everything about like what the humanity did leaving the planet, getting their ass to Mars. Doesn't mention what the fate of the Gaians is now, which is something I was curious and wanted to know more about, but because it doesn't seem like there's anything going on, like there's any kind of civilization on Mars now. So I wonder if they just like died out or something eventually over time. But there was a failsafe where, yeah, as I mentioned, if the angle slam energy is being used for evil, that this thing would go back to Gaia and would essentially destroy the planet by crashing the moon into it. Earth's moons, man, in Beast Wars. Earth's moons seem to be like the ultimate like doomsday device.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that first one was a doozy, but this second one. So yeah, they made, or maybe humans must have inhabited the solar system, the total solar system, or they just made this probe on Mars as like a backup. We don't know because we don't see the Transformers on Mars in this series. But presumably humans scattered, and who knows where they are or if they're still around.
I think it's said that the ancient Gaians settled on the fourth planet.
Yeah. And yeah, it's telling the mother computer, hey, you know what? That ain't no normal moon. Crash that into the Earth and fucking blow this fucker up. Now, here's where I'm a little confused. I thought the Earth was a hologram this whole time because Moon and Artemis are like looking out of it. Or I thought it was hollow or something like that. But let's just say for the sake of whatever, it's our moon that we have now,
Yeah.
right? The moon slowly colliding with the planet would indeed be pretty fucking bad, but wouldn't be enough to completely destroy the planet.
Well, it would make the planet uninhabitable.
It would exactly. It would the crust would become molten again. It would it would all life would die. Is that just the point?
I
Because the
think
angle
so.
slam would still, when it cools again and the crust cools and all that stuff, like the angle slam energy would still be there.
Yeah, I think it's just to destroy like
Whatever
bas-
civilization wants to use it.
wants to harness it. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and we also find out that when the ancient Gaians left the third planet for the fourth planet, they left androids, Artemis and Moon, to watch over everything. So at least we also got a little bit of an explanation
That's right.
as to who the fuck these like two bullshit anime characters are.
And indeed, they have been watching. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm fine with that. That makes sense. Right?
And the episode ends on a big old cliffhanger after Lio Junior is like, I can't remember. I think Lio Junior gets a like, Moon. Moon goes down to the planet. He henshins and goes down to the planet and warns Lio Junior, who because of his like how in tuned he is with the angle slam energy,
Yeah.
can now actually see and hear Moon. And so Moon warns him that, hey, this computer is going to destroy the planet. And so Lio Jr.
And he believes him.
He believes him, and Lio Jr. goes to Lio Convoy, and Apache is like, no, don't do it, but it's too late now. And so the episode ends on a big old cliffhanger. I'm going to say this episode actually gets an unequivocal too much energon because this is 100% the best episode in the entire series.
It is unquestionably the best episode. And I was going to give this a too much energon no matter what. But hearing that you also are like, no, this is easily the best episode. We went over wait, no, they haven't done it yet because this feels like a two-parter, right?
Yeah, it
Oh,
is
that's right. I
essentially a
almost
two-parter.
unnaturally drifted into the next one. The next one's got some interesting shit.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that. But yeah, I give it too much energon too. So unanimous, too much energy. I don't even know if that's maybe
For me,
it's
it's not
happened.
even. For me, it's not even grading on a curve. No, this is actually just a really good episode.
this is good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What-
like this is actually like fucking good. And I like the whole like them being like, oh yeah, let's bring this like probe to the other this way off in this like area. Oh, ancient Gaian technology and stuff like that. Like it's like, oh fuck, yeah, here we go. This is it. This is what I'm here for. There was a keep away. Like Dirge and Thrustor were messing with the probe. And they're like, haha, Lio Convoy can't, or was it them? Or was it Hellscream? And I don't fucking know, but they were like, haha. And then Bird Dad like swooped in and was like, stop fucking around. And they were like, oh, because they were like trying to intercept the probe. We skipped
Right,
over
right.
that, but like the actually genuinely good episode. So
I was so interested by the lore and the backstory that this episode tells us that I completely just glossed over all of that
Right?
other stuff.
yeah.
Finally, and like I said, these two episodes are basically a two-parter because episode 37, The Crisis of Planet Gaia, picks up immediately where the last episode
Mhm.
leaves off.
What was this one called?
The Crisis of Planet Gaia.
Hey.
This episode makes me hate Artemis even more than I did before. Because one, Artemis had sent Moon down to the planet, and near the beginning of the episode, Artemis is just freaking out, and she like shit talks Moon. She's like, "Oh, of course." I'm paraphrasing, but the attitude was like, of course, nothing's being resolved. I sent Moon down to deal with it, and I'm just like, bitch, why didn't you just go yourself then?
Right?
Let's send this little like robot rabbit down, and then complain that it's not doing a good enough job.
Bitch, you want to get smacked?
And
Yeah.
she spends
She never does anything.
she never does
She's
anything.
just mean to Moon and like
Yeah.
hits her with like a comical hammer or like complains, and then she has a crush on like Scuba or Hellscream.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you here?
Yeah, she's supposed to be one of these android guardians watching over the planet, and she spends this entire episode shit-talking Moon while he's not there, and also panicking, being like, "Oh, the moon is gonna crash into Gaia. Somebody needs to do something. Someone needs to help."
Right?
And I'm like,
Then do something.
why don't you get out of the moon base and go down to the planet and at least like at least do something?
Your ancient Gaian tech, which seems more advanced than the Transformer tech, in some ways. I don't know. Go down and like, you got a cannon? Like shoot them or something.
Yeah.
Or something.
And so after down on the planet, Lio Convoy and Apache have been. So the mother computer, after the probe interfaced with it, like sent out like these like
Nanite self-repairing.
like tentacle type things. Not tentacles,
Ink.
but more like
They look like the claw grippers that you like
yeah.
reach things from high shelves with. But apparently it's advanced tech, even though it looks like ancient tech. But they regenerate very quickly.
Yeah, so the mother computer is using these like tentacle type things to like restrain Lio Convoy and Apache. And at this point, Lio Junior, Santon, and Skywarp combine into Magnaboss, and they're using the Magna Blade trying to free them. But like you said, it's nanite technology, self-repairing, it's repairing too quickly, can't get them free.
Doesn't seem that dangerous, except it grabs them sometimes.
Yeah.
It's more like a deterrent, I guess. Yeah.
You know what I noticed? I think it was this episode. Or no, maybe it was no, it was the last one when Artemis told Moon to go down to the planet.
Right.
Moon's like little sphere that he sits on has like a face on it.
Oh.
Yeah. I didn't notice that until watching these episodes. But yeah, it's got like it looks almost like a sleeping face.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a little face.
You got a little face.
I just thought it was funny.
We like seeing little faces and things. Kind of like the first time I saw the little face in the Kitty Bots cod piece.
How is your Tigatron holding up, by the way? Listeners, he's holding up the War for Cybertron Kingdom Tigatron figure that I got him a while back. How's it holding up? Because mine is yellowing.
Mine's not in the like plastic, so mine's a good test for plastic aging.
Mine's yellowing pretty bad. And I bought them both at the same time. So
I feel like this color was always off, but I feel like it's more off lately. Do you know what I mean? Like here's the white, which stayed white, but then that off white is like, I don't know. I feel like it was always off color, but it's like, oh, and you know, on its face, like the tiger face.
Yeah.
How it's like a little bit off, like there.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was always like.
Here's the thing that I've noticed, because I have a few white Transformers that I've got within the past few years that are all yellowing. It's not everywhere. It's only certain pieces.
Yeah. Like here, but not here.
Yeah.
Not the feet, not the thigh, but the butt. Like it's certain. It's almost like a color or a paint that they used to try to give texture.
Yeah.
Like the tail too is quite. Like, he's turning into a cheetah man.
Like I have a shattered glass like Starscream figure, which is basically a white redeco of the War for Cybertron Siege Seeker mold, and he's all white, but there's like really heavy duty yellowing on his joints. Not the rest of his body, but just on like the connecting pieces of his joints.
Hmm.
It's weird. It's a fairly recent phenomenon too. I was reading on the TF wiki earlier.
Ah.
It's only been going on since around like 2018 or so. But figures are white figures in particular are yellowing quite quickly.
Hmm. But why?
I don't know.
Well, he's going to be Cheetor soon. I'll just tell people he's Cheetor.
He's old man Cheetor.
Yeah. Old man. Yeah, that old man Cheetor.
Like old man Logan, but instead of Wolverine, it's Cheetor as an old man and
Yeah.
having to bring like a young bot like across the border.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's shamelessly steal the plot from Logan and write some Beast Wars fan fiction.
All right, let's do it.
I'm sure nobody will call us out on it. Right? Yeah.
Navi figures out that she might be able to turn off the mother computer's like Destructo Moon sequence because, as mentioned earlier, her computer language is pretty similar to the ancient Gaian.
She can use AI to translate and then learn the language, I guess. Yeah, something like that. And well, when you know it, not good. It's the moon, like we said, the moon coming in. They're translating it. They need to stop the mother computer, right?
Yeah.
But they can't. But Navi can go in and try to like hack it.
But
right?
she can't get in because she can't get past the defenses.
And now, instead of it just being like, by the way, it's kind of cool. It's like thousands upon thousands of these like little like angular growing claws, almost like branches.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of trying to attack the Maximals, it's making armor for itself. Yeah. And as they try to shoot through it, it melts and then like reforms.
Yeah.
And by the way, the moon is now, there's one part I saved the screenshot for notes because I'm the moon. So the idiot squad, it's He-Man, Frogger, and Tasmanian Kid. They're looking up. Fuck, I should share the screenshot in the Discord. And Frogger's like, the moon hen. Moon hen? Is that like a Japanese suffix? You know how they were like, Navi-chan.
Oh, yeah.
So they're giving like a personable suffix to the moon. Well, they call it the man in the moon in some. Moonhan is getting larger and larger, and He-Man's like,
believe they put a man on the moon.
Put a man on the moon. And then He-Man's like, is it expanding, I wonder? His first thought isn't, is it getting closer? Is it expanding? Is it getting bigger?
Yeah.
And Tasmanian Kid is like, what? No, how would it be able to get bigger? I wonder if it's getting closer. Anyways, they all said like stupid stuff, and they're like, wait a second. It's coming closer. Oh God, it's gonna collide with us and we're all gonna die. And Frogger is like, no, He-Man is like, oh man, like I still need to, like, people are gonna visit my grave, or I still need to pick out a tomb. And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? That's dark. And Frogger's like, quit your whining. No, sorry, He-Man is like, quit your whining. Warriors ain't got no tombs, nor others to pick up their dead corpses, you know?
Yeah, I thought that was a weird statement coming from the He-Man.
Warriors ain't got no tombs, nor others to pick up their dead corpses, you know? What?
So warriors just die on the battlefield.
On the battlefield, and they don't get marked graves.
Yeah, they're not given a like honorable burial. It's kind of dark.
Right? Anyways, I saved that because I wanted to ask you what you thought of it.
Yeah, it's kind of dark for this show. Definitely.
Right? I was like, shit, man.
So Navi can't get through the mother computer's defenses until Galvatron
Oh shit.
fires a blast through the defenses that open them up long enough for Navi-chan to get through. And when she does, she is able to reprogram the computer and stop the destruction sequence and return the moon back to its regular orbit.
Uh-huh.
So they win the
That
day.
was kind of cool. She got inside and was like, I'm in. And meanwhile, Artemis is like, oh, Moonchan, stop them. Won't somebody help? Oh, and like there's a voice, the computer voice, I guess, who's like 20, 19. But then it will show like a scene for 5 minutes. And then
Yeah.
we'll come back to Artemis. It'll be like 12, 11. And I'm like, I guess that's not a live countdown, huh? Oh, did we mention Gaviscon's like appearance to help?
Yeah, I just did.
Yeah. What'd you think? Damn, what'd you think of that?
I thought it was interesting, and the scene that happens afterward, after the moon is returned to its regular orbit, Lio Convoy confronts him, and he's like, look, I saw what you did there. You know, I think maybe there could be like some kind of potential. And Gaviscon goes on a big rant, continuing what he had said to Lio Junior earlier about how he actually wants peace in the galaxy, but peace, his version of peace, it will be achieved through force, because there is no true peace as long as people have free will. And so I find this interesting, as I mentioned already, because we're actually getting, like, no one ever thinks they're the bad guy when they have a view on something. No one ever
Right.
thinks they're the bad guy. And
Right.
he doesn't think he's the bad guy here. He thinks in his own way he's trying to do what's best for the entire galaxy, just in his own very, like, supervillain kind of way. It's interesting, and it's more depth than I would have expected from this show when we first started out, even like 20 episodes ago.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I like it.
And Lio Convoy is like, you know what? Like we could set aside our differences and, maybe
You son of a bitch.
work
Put her
together.
there.
So he goes to shake his hand, and Galvatron like hesitates and goes to extend his hand out, but then shoots Lio Convoy.
Yeah, it's got the secret the Gary guns, if you will.
The Gary guns.
Yeah. And is like, nah, never. And goes to shoot him, and then Gaviscon gets away, and
He's beamed back onto the ship.
oh, that's right. No, he's beamed back on the ship and kind of has a speech as he's ascending back onto his ship.
Yeah, he's like, I helped you because basically, if the planet's destroyed, then I can't achieve my goals. Which I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, even in the when the Planet Buster was going on, like the Maximals and Predacons, there was treachery involved, obviously, but they did kind of work together to sort that whole bullshit out.
Yeah.
Because it's like it benefits everybody.
Yeah. Oh, it's a very, very interesting. I was able to set aside Artemis's bullshit, but I see that you were not.
Yeah, because of that, this episode is getting a sufficient amount of energon. It probably would have been a full too much energon, but Artemis was just annoying me so much in the episode.
Fair. I'm gonna give it a too much energon again. Like I said, like these 3 strings of episodes, I was like, God damn. And like the Gaviscon like peeking from around the corner and be like, and like helping them, and the moment between leaders, I don't think it's gonna get better than that.
I don't think it's going to either. But hey, I've been more and more shocked almost every week at the how the quality has been going up.
Yeah.
So who knows? by the time this is all over, I might end up being a fan of Beast Wars Second. Probably not, but I'm not willing to completely discount the potential at this point.
Good.
And that was episode 146 of Too Much Energon. If you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/lazorcomb, LAZORCOMB. Just revamped the Patreon tiers. At the $5 tier, you get access to our weekly bonus Patreon exclusive podcast, the Super Lasercomb Patreon Super Show. It's like this, but a little more off topic. At the $10 tier, you get access to that. You also get access to our another podcast, Too Much Commentary, where we do live commentary of various different movies, often as voted on by our patrons over at patreon.com/lasercomb. You also get to pick a show for us to review a random episode of on our other podcast, the Lasercomb podcast. There's also a $20 tier that gets you all of that and a whole lot more. So if you want to get in on that, go to patreon.com/lasercomb. Helps keep the light on.
Helps us buy our $12 $5 footlong.
And yeah. Join the
Too rich
Discord.
for our blood.
Join the Discord if you want to interact with us. Link in the description as always. We will be back in 2 weeks' time, where we're going to be reviewing episodes 38, Fly Out Planet Gaia, episode 39, Assemble 39 Warriors, which is a clip show, which means we'll probably just breeze on through it. Episode 40, Revenge of the Space Pirates, 41, Breaking into Nemesis, and 42, Legend of the Green Warrior. We're doing 5 that time because of the clip show.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks after that, we'll be reviewing the final episode of Beast Wars Second, Farewell, Lio
It's
Convoy,
coming.
and giving our thoughts overall on the show as a whole.
Oh, Lottie, I never thought we'd be here, but imagine if we did episode by episode, doing this another 2 years.
Yeah, on that note, actually, I have a pretty firm end date planned out for Too Much Energon now. We're getting to the final run. It's coming.
Oh shit! Can you believe it? And then our main. It's not that Too Much Energon is like our main podcast. We have various ideas here at Lasercomb Productions, but it's the first and oldest.
Yeah, it's the longest running. It's the longest running one at this point, which is the show's always going to hold a special place in my heart because of that.
Very off while we're talking about Lasercomb entirely, and if you want to come in and check these out, we had a few of the commercial zone, which we hadn't really touched back on the life stuff. Yeah,
we did one episode of it a year and a half ago. It was supposed to be a monthly podcast, but maybe once
I liked that.
I did
but
too.
Very recently, I was watching an episode of The Simpsons, and my partner's like, "What is this like moon like dude playing a piano in the clouds that it keeps referencing?" I'm like, "Let me tell you," as we are didn't get off the ground, but actual legitimate journalism podcast. We learned quite a lot about Mac Tonight, and I showed her some Mac Tonight like videos and ranted a little bit about the marketing move that McDonald's did to get people to come in in the evenings and mornings, essentially. And boy howdy, it worked.
For a great price dinner
And
at McDonald's. It's Mac Tonight. Come on, make it Mac Tonight. Hey!
amazing. Who would have thought?
We should this is gonna sound funny, but I actually really like the show art that I made for the commercial zone.
Yeah.
Like I think it's actually like probably the coolest looking show art I've ever made.
Yeah,
Yeah, we should go back to the commercial zone. And
yeah.
it was always kind of planned to be a limited run podcast, like maybe like a dozen episodes or something, but
Or something. But yeah, it was fun actually having to like look into and learn about something and just weird iconic iconic marketing like movements. I believe the next one we were supposed to do was the Pepsi challenge.
it was blast processing.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Why did I think it was?
We did talk about the Pepsi challenge. That was one of the ideas we were
Right.
kicking around.
Fucking Pepsi challenge, man.
Yeah, maybe we'll come back to that once Too Much Energon takes a break.
And then we got we got our schedule cleared. Then we can we may revisit such things. Anyways, just a little side rant. If you're interested in very not too obscure, but it's one of those things where you're either absolutely old enough to know exactly what it is, or you have never heard of it.
Yeah, there's
There's
in between.
no in between. You know exactly what Mac tonight is, or you don't.
All right, so keep an eye out for episode 147 of Too Much Energon in a couple weeks' time. And until then, I've been The Siege, one of your hosts.
And I am super fantastic transforming Beast Wars Neo, your other host.
And until next time, Seijiru, Henshin.
Neo Henshin.
Bye-bye.
So long.
Oh my God, I cringed so hard. I talked about it on the Discord last night, but I cringed so hard at this like old friend of mine, like trying to do
Dunk on like kid lingo.
on Gen Alpha lingo, and like it being like how she like recited it was intentionally like wrong in that like boomer kind of way.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, that's so crit. That oh man.
It's like
I'm agreeing with your kid here. I don't know what they're saying, but it must be that you're not cool.